The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
All right, everybody, if you're listening live, that only took a matter of seconds. If you're listening after the fact, thank you so much for listening. My name is Brian Engelman. This is The Unhappy Hour. Yeah, I loaded these new bumpers in here. Let's take a listen to them. This is our good buddy Sean before he passed away. Did this for us. You'll hear these from now on. I don't know why they haven't. Well, anyway.
The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
Yeah, so you're going to hear those. Oh, one more.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
Yeah, finally loaded those. It's been on my to-do list for God knows how long. Finally got to it. Real quick, everybody, thanks for joining us. Sports. I just got done talking politics. On the other side, thank you to Blake the Eccentric Wally. Check out all of this stuff after the fact on the newamericanmedia.com. We're going to just jump to our conversation with Zak Baris, the new NBA scout, lifelong Cleveland sports fan. Bring him into the program. Just do us a favor. Go ahead, check out the newamericanmedia.com. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. On Facebook, search The New American Media and like our page. And subscribe to youtube.com/The New American Media. I just want to talk about this 4-point shot. 4-point shot proposal. I don't know how I feel about that. Just like they're talking about expanding the field goal kick. Maybe it's a similar concept. I'm going to talk with him about it. I also want to talk about Carmelo to the Bulls. Could that happen? I don't know. Would Carmelo and LeBron team up? Zach doesn't think so, but let's just bring him into the program and find out, shall we?
How you doing?
I am living the dream, Zach. How are you doing?
Exhausted.
Yeah, I'm feeling mentally and a little physically exhausted. How have things been for you? I know it has been a busy week or two for you.
I literally just walked in the door. I've been gone for over 10 days now, so it's been exhausting, and I leave again for New York on Thursday morning. So
Wow.
it's been a brutal. I mean, it's been good. It's been good, but an exhausting 10 days.
Yeah, and I'll say
on
it was.
The road.
Oh, you know what? I need to ask you now that I have you on the horn. The name of for everybody that doesn't know, I met up with Zach over in San Francisco about a week ago. The name of the place we had the donuts, that was called Bob's Donuts. Am I correct?
I believe it is.
I don't know. I might need Facebook to piece together.
I was a little out of it.
I think the whole crew was. But what was the name of that place you took me to afterward with those burritos?
That I could not tell you. All I know is right off Kearney. It was right off of Kearney over by the Hustler Club up there.
Okay.
In between Chinatown and Little Mexico.
It had something with a Z in it. And I'll tell you what, those were some amazing carne asada burritos. Oh, my Lord.
Damn good. I had the chorizo burrito. It was good. It was some late night fun. I was glad you got to meet up with us. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen, but it was a nice trip. And I just remember it was funny. The next day I got up and, ran from my hotel down to the ferry building like El Embarcadero. Then ran up the stairs at Coit Tower, and I was still on my run, and I took a picture, and one of my friends from that night, he goes, how are you running right now? He goes, I feel like death. I can't even get out of bed. And then I ran another 4 miles, and I just because the night before I was joking about Full House, so I ran over to the Full House to go take a picture over in front of it.
Nice. Yeah.
So, I had to clear my head, clear my body. I had a lot to drink. It was I did about 9 miles that morning on Sunday morning. So it was definitely a good trip, and I was glad. I had a great time. It was good to see everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a whirlwind of an hour that I got to spend with Zach. But you mentioned, let's just get right into it. I want to talk about the 4-point shot, but you did say, and it makes a good segue, that you're headed back to New York. I want to talk about that because there's some stories coming out of New York. You remember when it was reported that LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh started hatching this plan to, all right, one of our 3 teams will dump all the salary and then we'll all go play on the same super team. And it took a couple years to get going because they had to get the finances right. And it was a long-term plan. Well, it got leaked recently that, what was it, Tyson Chandler? No, it was Joaquin Noah was recruiting Carmelo Anthony to come over to the Bulls. And this is a big deal. It's a big story because everybody wants to know where the top 10 power players are going to be at and if they're going to be teaming up. So, wondering if you've been following that or if you have any comments on it.
I have been following that pretty closely, actually. It's not something that surprised me. I've been saying for some time that Melo to the Bulls is a possibility, especially with his disasters here in New York.
Right.
And especially if they don't get Phil Jackson for a front office role, I think he's guaranteed to leave at this point. I mean, what would propel Carmelo to stay other than New York's a big market? I mean, Chicago's a big market too, and Carmelo's getting to the line where it's boom or bust for him now. LeBron's got his rings, Dwayne Wade's got his rings, Bosh has gotten his rings, so everybody from his class, the big players, they all have rings, except for Carmelo.
But he was a guy that always marched to his own drum. He was a little bit like maybe like a Barry Sanders. He just does his own thing. He doesn't care what anyone else thinks. He retires early. Whatever, man. Carmelo, he was the one that did not sign the same deals that all of the other super players did, which kind of locked him into a different scenario.
I think it's at the point, though, where Carmelo wants to be able to win a ring at this point. I mean, he's had a frustrating season, to say the least. And I think he's sick of it. I truly believe he's sick of it. Look what the Chicago Bulls have done since they traded Luol Deng. They have been arguably one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NBA. They've been playing great basketball. Noah's taking a turn where he's now a top 2 center in the NBA at this point. It's him and Dwight. And I don't think anybody's in the same class right now. Noah's putting up triple-doubles over the last couple of games, multiple triple-doubles. I mean, he's fluid in passing the ball. Chicago's scoring. They look great.
How tall is Noah? Let me just start from scratch. How tall is Noah?
About 6'10".
And that is his full position. Center. He's not a big forward like an Andy Barishov.
He is a center. He's a full-time center. I mean, maybe 6'10", 6'11". I mean, you can put him in anywhere in that category. But, these guys, all their heights are always inflated. It's always inflated. It's always with shoes on.
Oh, I was always I was 5'11" and a half in the book when I was playing football for the Brunswick Blue Devils. I'm 5'10", and I was 5'11" and a half, for recruiting purposes and intimidation purposes, and I wore the neck roll, 1, because I didn't want to break my neck, and 2, because it made me look bigger. My guys were 6'7", 285. So, yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And as the Browns are thinking about drafting Johnny Manziel, he's under 6 feet. Oh, my God, we could never draft him. So I get it. But I just wanted to make sure that Noah really is the center that...
yeah, I mean, he's playing... I mean, he's so polished on the defensive end. He always has been a great defender. But his offensive game has started to really come alive. I mean, he's scoring. The guy can pass the ball. He's basically... I mean, he's just a great center. And you look to see Chicago, they're playing great basketball right now. They have a lot of fluidity to their offense, their defense. They just look like a great team. They're also very, very well coached. And now, next year you add Derrick Rose back into the mix. I'm not saying he's going to be 100% because I don't know what's going to happen with Derrick. But you have to assume Derrick's going to be close to where he was. He'll still be an elite player. Add Carmelo to that mix, a guy who can score on that team. Chicago's going to be deadly. They're going to be easily in the They're going to easily be in the mix to beat an Indiana or to beat a Miami with that roster. I mean, their front court defensively will be a terror with Gibson and Noah, just a terror. And having a guy like Carmelo that can score, you got Rose can score. I mean, that team can be very, very fierce on both sides of the basketball. They would scare a lot of people. Let's put it that way. You'd have 3 powers in the East, depending on what LeBron does. Let's assume LeBron stays in Miami for the moment.
No, we don't need to do that.
So let's just say you have to just assume it's going to be the same. You go. You've got Miami, Chicago, and Indiana. Your 3 players in the East. That's it. If he goes back to the West, it's going to be a challenge because you have to get along the likes of San Antonio, Oklahoma City. No matter where he goes, if that's the problem, is if he joins up with Kobe in L.A. and it becomes a colossal failure. Right now, the Clippers are the show in town. It's not the Lakers. It's the Clippers. And ever since Jerry Buss died, that team has been an absolute disaster. A disaster. I can't say anything positive about that Lakers organization over the past.
What would they have been like this year with a healthy Kobe Bryant? How would they all have been totally different?
I still don't think they'd be a playoff team. They stink. Look at their roster. It's terrible.
So it's Kobe and Pau Gasol.
A bunch of D-League. Pau's not elite anymore. It's Kobe, Pau, and a bunch of D-Leaguers. Most of those guys at the beginning of the season, nobody wanted. Nobody wanted Jody Meeks. Nobody wanted Kendall Marshall. Kendall Marshall's always playing better. This is a team that was down by 60 points in the third quarter last night to the Clippers, so they're crosstown rivals. This is a game that 3 years ago would have been opposite. The Lakers would have been up by 60 on the Clippers. But Phil Jackson's not walking through that door anytime soon. I mean, it is weird to see this in today's NBA that the Lakers suck.
Yeah.
And are going to be having a top 5 lottery pick. You know, if I'm a player, you know, I love L.A. I love the glitz and glamour of L.A. I love living there. It was honestly the best 3.5 years of my life. And I have to say, I'd love to move back sometime soon. Hopefully that is in the cards in the near future. But getting back to it, if I'm a basketball player, I want to go there. I'd love to play in L.A. But the thing is right now, how good can the Lakers be? You know, unless LeBron's walking through those doors, LeBron can take any team and turn them into a 50-win team. Any team in the league. Probably 55, closer to 55 to 60 wins.
Because there's only 5 players on the roster. It's a lot more difficult for one player to make a football team great because it takes 11 of them.
But will Kobe be that superstar anymore? You know, I think Kobe kind of disrupted things last year. I mean, I think that Lakers team, like I said, I predicted they would be great. Honestly, the pieces just didn't fit together.
Yeah.
You can't have a guy like Nash who's dominating the ball when a guy like Kobe dominates the ball. Dwight and Powell don't play well in the front court either. It just didn't mix and match well. That was what happened. Dwight was angry all year, didn't play up to his potential. Now Dwight Howard looks like the Dwight Howard of old lady. Houston's becoming a major contender in the East.
Well, of course.
I mean in the West.
The West. I mean, you called it. I mean, a lot of people knew that James Harden was a beast coming off the bench. He was a great player. But did anyone really have James Harden pegged as a superstar? I mean, did
I
we
don't
really
know. I mean,
know?
I did. I mean, I knew the second I was watching this kid. I remember during the NBA Finals, I go, what the hell is Scott Brooks thinking by not starting this kid? I said, he is unbelievable. I love James Harden. I always been a huge Harden fan. And, you know, it really, you know, before I was, you know, when I was still working at my agency, I was furious when the Cavaliers didn't offer up the 4th pick and Anderson Varejao for James Harden. I remember sitting there saying, what are you thinking not trading for this guy? I said, big deal. You get the 4th pick in the draft. You're trading for a bona fide superstar in this guy. It's well worth the risk. And look what happened to a team like Houston. Cleveland, I can only imagine with Waiters and with Harden and Irving in their backcourt, how well they would be playing. I mean, look at Phoenix with Dragic and Bledsoe. I mean, take that up a notch, and you've got Irving and you've got Harden. It would be unreal. You'd be able to get any free agent you wanted to with those two guys.
Irving and Harden.
I don't even want to picture it because it just disgusts me to even think about it. But I mean, that's on the lines where I'm getting at next year. I mean, it's like, you know, Carmelo Anthony's got Houston as an option. He's got Chicago as an option. He can stay in New York. He has plenty of options. I tend to think right now his 4 main players are, of course you have to say the Knicks because he's on the Knicks. He likes the big market. So I think the Knicks are an option. I think the Lakers are, of course, an option. But will that mix and match work playing with Kobe? I don't know. I really don't. Do I think it will? Personally, no. I don't think they're a championship contender if you add Melo to the Lakers team. I don't think they're anywhere near a contender. And now, if you add them to the Houston Rockets, and they get rid of Chandler Parsons, the Rockets are suddenly a major, major player in the West.
They would have to be the favorite to win it.
I think they could be a title contender this year.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to be a favorite to win it. Right?
Yeah, and then LeBron would have followed it. I mean, he would follow LeBron Simpson of doing the big three, and you get those guys. I think they would all mix and match well there. I think they would play well together. You know, like I said, I don't know if they would play well, but I tend to think they would. I think Melo's a perfect fit in Houston. I think he's a perfect fit with the Bulls. I think he has 2 perfect fits next year, and he's going to get the guaranteed money wherever he goes. So I think those are the 2 most viable options if you're looking strictly from a basketball point. Now, if you take what's going through the player's mind, a lot of players don't want to give up the glitz and glamour of New York. They don't want to give up that lifestyle, the Broadway lifestyle. I was shocked when Dwight Howard, I mean, as much as I thought, I go, the Lakers are such a bad fit for him, but how can anybody leave L.A.? And someone finally did it. He had the balls to finally do it and stand up. It was not a popular move, but now he's gone back into that Orlando mode where people aren't hating him anymore. He really isn't that hated around the league anymore after leaving L.A. L.A. made a desperate attempt to re-sign him. He just wasn't a fit there. He was never happy. But at the same time, you're still saying to yourself, how did this guy leave L.A. for Houston? Houston's not a small market by any means. They're not on the national level of the LA Lakers. It was just shocking when he did.
You know, I think, but I think Houston is the largest city in our country. You know, there's debate.
You have to take metropolitan area. Houston's the 5th largest metropolitan area in the country.
Yeah, and defining borders of LA. I mean, is Culver City LA? Is the Valley LA?
Well, Culver City is part of the city of Los Angeles. Sherman Oaks is part of the city of Los Angeles. Those are still part of the city of Los Angeles, believe it or not.
Anaheim's different, but is that included?
That's not part of the city of LA. It's the
Right.
LA area, but it's not the city of LA. I mean, Hollywood is part of Los Angeles. If you look at that, there's only 3 cities in all of LA that are not part of LA, and that's Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, and Santa Monica. Those are the only 3 in LA that are in LA proper that are its own individual cities run with their own individual city governments. That's it. Everywhere else is part of the city of Los Angeles. Whether you name Hancock Park, Venice, the Palisades, Malibu, those are all part of the city of LA.
But you are very right, though. Houston Rockets, that is a totally different scene from being on the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, the cities are both very big, but it feels like he's a world away.
One is Hollywood, the other one's Texas. And I'm not saying anything bad about Houston. But Dwight Howard made a strict basketball decision when he did this. And I think a lot of people thought I think that's what was so shocking, because you never see players make those kind of decisions. It's very rare. When a player, will take less money to go to a smaller market, being willing to lose his endorsement because he just wants to win. And I think that's what was so shocking about Dwight. Because he didn't go to a major player like I said, like the Lakers. He didn't go to New York. He went to Houston. And I think he made the best basketball move he could have made. And he made the right decision in doing what he did. And now you're looking at it and everybody's applauding Dwight for what he did because he made the right move. And especially if this – and like I said, they're starting to mesh well, and they're playing very good basketball at this moment. Dwight's starting to look like the Dwight he did in Orlando, not the Dwight he did when he was injured. And, I said I don't know if Dwight can ever get to where he was with 3 years ago with Orlando, 4 years ago in 2009, in 2010 when they made the NBA Finals and beat Cleveland in 6. I don't think Dwight can ever get to that level again. But he's starting to get close to it, and he's really scary when he's the Dwight of old. And the Houston guys are knocking down their threes. I mean, they play a quick basketball. They play a quick game, and they can run the floor. They can also play defense, too, but they space the floor really well offensively. They've got a lot of decent three-point shooters. Parsons is a great player. And I really think Houston's clicking right now, especially with Oklahoma City fluttering. Their defense has been terrible over the last couple of weeks. And the West is wide open right now, as is the East, although I think it's Miami and Indiana. But Chicago has definitely started playing better basketball as of late, like really good basketball ever since Luol Deng was traded.
How much of an impact do you think it has when players are really lobbying behind the scenes? Because they're talking about, how much money would Carmelo leave on the floor? How much money did Dwight leave on the table, rather? How much of an impact does it make?
The recruiting makes a big difference. I think it makes very little difference in baseball. Baseball is all about the money because of the CBA in baseball. When a player has a contract offer in baseball, he is basically forced by the CBA to take the highest amount of money. You don't ever see players in baseball taking less amounts of money to sign with a different team. It just doesn't happen. And the rare occasion it does happen, very, very weird. Because there's no max salary in baseball, so what happens when a player gets offered in baseball, let's say he's offered a record-breaking contract of 7 years, $200 million. He's going to take it because of pressure from the CBA because they want to keep driving up the average player's price. That's what happens. They want to keep driving up the market for these players.
Right.
And that's what's essentially happened in baseball. Basketball, these guys are maxed out at like around, in the 20s, in the low 20s. Now, it's different in football. You don't have to max out a guy, but you never see anybody, the quarterback's the highest paid position, gets $20 million a year. Everybody else, it averages out. So if a player wants to take less money to win a Super Bowl, you see it because it's not really changing the market. There's a cap anyway. Baseball is no cap. That's why the salary is so much different. So when you see a guy in baseball, he's going to take the highest money. It doesn't matter. Everybody sells out in baseball. It's for the highest contract. That's just how baseball works. Basketball, these guys are now sitting here going, well, I make $20 million a year in endorsements. I'm going to be comfortable for the rest of my life. My kids and their kids and their kids are going to be comfortable too. I can go now and take a little bit less money. I can win that ring. My endorsements are going to be through the roof again if I win that ring. They're looking at long-term risk, short-term risk now. And I think that's how players are viewing the NBA. Okay, I'll make $2 million less a year to go take this deal. And don't forget, if Carmelo goes to Houston, there's no state income tax in the state of Texas.
It makes a huge difference. In Florida, it makes a big difference.
The cost of living, too, in Houston compared to New York. What money can buy you in Houston compared to New York is a world difference.
Yeah. I know it, man. LA is a weird place. It is insane how little you get Well, I've always been surprised. The house my parents raised me in, the one that we kind of graduated to when they kind of got their things together, and we built this house and out in the suburbs of the suburbs, quiet place, a couple acres, 2-story house, a couple of bedrooms. It was a nice house. Then I came out to L.A. and for the same price, what do you get? You get a tiny little 2-bedroom, 758 square foot condo. And you go, oh my God, really? Why am I doing this to myself? How nuts do I have to be to live? But then again, I hear about the snowstorms and I just laugh. I hope everybody's okay, but I still laugh. So I guess
a $700,000 house is buying you a nice house out in Pepper Pike, Beechwood, Orange, Moreland Hills, Shaker. And, you're getting a gorgeous house for that kind of money. In L.A., it's getting you a 2-bedroom condo in West L.A. So, a nice 2-bedroom condo, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare.
What was it? No, I was gonna say, what is it in Malibu where they a couple of years ago they had their first $1 million mobile home,
exactly.
A tiny little
lot.
Those
ones are right off the beach. Those crappy ones are right off the beach.
Yeah,
they're literally across the street from the water.
Location. No, what? I don't follow. Carmelo married some girl that's on some TV show or something.
Yeah, Lala. Yeah.
What Lala?
And
who? What is her deal?
I don't watch the show anyways, so I don't care.
Well, is she tied to New York? That's all. I don't know the show.
Yeah, she is tied to New York, but at the same time, she can do her thing. These guys are on private jets all the time. You're able to fly in your own private jet. These guys can afford their own private jets. They have private jets from Nike, Adidas, whoever their sponsors are willing to fly them on their private jet. These guys have access to go anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, whenever they want to, on a whim. It's not a problem. And I truly believe that Carmelo's played for the money up to this point. He's played for the show. He's seen it in New York. It hasn't clicked for him. Why not go to Houston? Look what it did for Dwight. If you want to win a championship, your two best bets are not – your best bet is not staying with the New York Knicks. I'm sorry. It's not. James Dolan has failed to even provide a winner year after year. I think they've had 2 or 3 playoff seasons while he's been the owner in 15 years there now. Something terrible like that. And you go to a team like Houston where you're looking at a number 1 or 2 seed in the playoffs. If you go to the East, you're looking at being one of the powers in Chicago. He's not playing in Jordan's footsteps anymore. It's different with LeBron. LeBron and Jordan have the comparisons. Carmelo and Jordan never had any comparison. Carmelo goes to Chicago. They are a deep team. They have a front court which is so powerful defensively with Noah and Gibson. Boozer won't be there. It is just the amount. So the pressure I think will be taken off from New York. He won't have to play a ton of defense. What Chicago needs is they need someone who can score. And Carmelo can provide that. It's exactly what Chicago needs. It's an answer they've been searching for a while now. And now you have 4 unbelievable options on the court at the same time, especially with Rose, Melo, and Noah. You've got your 3 superstars, and you've got a real quality player in Taj Gibson, who, when he's a starter, is a way above average player when he starts. I tend to think he's better than Boozer already, but I'm not going to elaborate on that one.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a Cleveland fan. Boozer really upset me when he bounced out of Cleveland the way he did. Just a slimy little, he made his move, whatever, but I'm not a Boozer fan. I liked his game. I like to think what would have happened had Boozer come up with LeBron James, if they had a 1-2
Well, I think they would have won a title, but obviously it didn't happen, so. Yeah,
so now we got to look forward. We got to project it, and Noah's over there recruiting to try to get Carmelo to come. I saw this thing. Was it on Facebook or something talking about the good old days? And it showed Carmelo with his braids over with the Nuggets. It showed LeBron, young, smaller LeBron on the Cavs. It showed, all these players back in the day. I'm like, wow, the NBA landscape has really changed a lot over the past few years. A lot.
Yeah.
The bird rights, people don't care. They're just bouncing. It's not stopping anybody from rolling around. Do you think it might actually be time to contract the NBA? If all we want is super teams, do we want more Harlem Globetrotter games and just trim the fat of the horrible teams?
You can do that, but at the same time, you need the more teams because it does well for the NBA. It's for viewing, everything. So, like I said, you keep the 30 teams. I don't think there's going to be any contraction anytime soon. There's still teams that are looking. There's still markets that are looking for teams. Like teams like cities like St. Louis, Kansas City, Seattle. There's still some big markets without teams that need teams.
That is true. I'm
not saying St. Louis needs a team. St. Louis is not a four-sport city. But
well,
Kansas City deserves a team, but especially Seattle.
I like to ask Reds fans and Bengal fans about their basketball team, and yeah, that's right. Don't have that one.
Cincinnati
anymore.
does not need an NBA team. They're not big. It's not a big enough city. But for what Cleveland has, however, Cleveland's this perfect three-sport city. They need three sports teams. It's the perfect size for three sports. So you're getting at it, and you're starting to look at teams. I don't think contraction's the way to go. Yes, the NBA has been. Let's put it this way: some of the talent in the NBA has dropped off. I will say that.
Yeah. It has, but looking forward, then if we're not going to contract and everybody's trying to form their super team, that's just going to do what it's going to do. Let me ask you specifically about this. We've been hearing a little bit about potential rules tweaks, like to bounce over to the NFL for just a second. For contrast, they're talking about maybe making it a 42-yard extra point to kind of make it interesting. Getting tired of the extra points are really
I think it's
boring.
kind of cool, actually. I think it's better. The extra point is, what's the point of an extra point? I mean, they're made 98% of the time. I mean, very rarely is an extra point missed. This creates a lot more excitement. Some kickers can't kick 42-yard field goals. It means an extra point late in the game is no sure thing. If you're down 24-23 going with the extra point, oh shit, he's got to make excuse my language. He's got to make a 42-yard field goal now, which is no gimme.
No, especially in Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Baltimore or New York.
I think it's much better than eliminating the extra point. It makes a kicker's job. It makes a kicker that much more valuable to a football team.
Thank you, and that was my next point. I've seen some kickers coming out saying, no, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, wait a minute, you idiots. What are you talking about?
Well, it makes their job that much more difficult. Going out there and having to kick 9 42-yard field goals a game, like if you're the Broncos kicker, you're Matt Prater, you're going out there, you're kicking 9 40-yard field goals a game at that point.
But my point is, then the market is going to determine a much higher rate for a great kicker.
Exactly. I think it'd be better for the kickers.
That's my point.
A kicker's suddenly valuable. You're looking at a guy going, well, we scored 32 points a game. So we scored 31 points a game. We're looking at one field goal, four extra points. We're looking at this guy valuing 7 points our team. This guy's now as valuable as a running back.
Let's see. We have the number 17. We have the number 17 pick in this year's draft. Do we take the receiver or the kicker?
That's never going to happen. You're going to see kickers going much higher in the draft, though, after that.
Exactly.
You're not going to see kickers going undrafted. You're going to see good kickers going in the third or fourth, fifth round at that point. But I think it creates a lot more excitement for the NFL because people are always, kickers are people too, punters are players too. Let's make them players. Yeah, Adam Vinatieri is great going out and kicking 56-yard field goals in the snow to get his team to the Super Bowl. But wouldn't it be a lot more exciting if an extra point put a game on the line in the Super Bowl?
I'd love it. If you had the option, you could kick a 42-yard field goal or a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, or I would just do the drop kicks. With Doug Flutie a few years ago in New England.
Oh, well, they'd have to tweak that rule, obviously.
Well, I don't know because the drop kick's not an easy thing. It's still 2 points.
Interesting. See, I like it. And a lot of times I'm hesitant to do things like this, and for the purity of the game, and to make sure you can compare and contrast the stats from different generations of years gone by. But really, the extra point does nothing for me. It does nothing for me at all.
Speaking of that, though, I know you wanted to get into the 4-point.
Yeah, thank you. We went off on a tangent, but I think they're kind of related. Like how can we make the game better, or would it actually make it worse? What do you think?
Well, I tweeted the other day. I go, nothing more fun than scouting. Looking for players who can shoot the 4-point shot now. Make my job that much more difficult.
Hey, by the way, one more reminder: when you send something like that out and you think it's really timely and kind of clever, tag us at American_media_, and when we get the notification, we'll just toss it out to our 17,000 people. Because that's a good point.
I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, it would be pretty cool, but I don't know how many 4-point shots. I think the few players that would take 4-point shots, you got guys like Steph Curry, LeBron, because every three LeBron makes anyways was a 4-point shot to begin with. So, LeBron's always taking deep threes. When do you ever see him take a three close to the line?
He's been doing that step back a little bit lately too, from further
Yeah,
back
exactly.
and the step back.
So LeBron does his thing, and I mean, I think it would add excitement to the NBA. I mean, games would be higher scoring, but if a team's down by 4 points again, rather than always scoring for fouls, you could start taking 4-pointers. I think it makes it a lot more exciting at the end of a game.
So where would the 4-point shots be? Not half court, right? There'd be something.
No. It'd be, I think, 4 or 5 feet beyond the 3-point line where it is now. I don't know exactly. Like I said, I don't know exactly how it would work, but I know I saw the line for it the other day. If I can find the picture, I'll tag you in it. I got a rendering of what it would look like, of how it would look and where it would be located, if it happens.
And this is all very premature. This is, what was it, Kiki Vandeweghe, or who was it that was talking about? I mean, it's just an idea that's being thrown around. It's not like, hey, this is coming down the pike. Get ready. This is happening.
I think all teams are trying to add excitement to any sport right now. Everything's going through. It's like the NFL with adding these 42-yard field goals, extra points. Every league is trying to create excitement. They want to engage the fan. It's all about a marketing standpoint. What can we do to engage fans in this game? What can we do to get people to watch? So make the kicking aspect more of the game. In basketball, let's add another shot. Let's not make the end of games boring. If a team's down by 12 points with 36 seconds left, they've got a chance to come back now. Imagine Reggie Miller in his heyday joining 3 4-point shots in a matter of 25 seconds.
That was unbelievable. And you watch Spike Lee and some of the more idiotic racial things he's saying just about gentrification and not liking white people. It was so nice watching Reggie Miller do that. Just kind of shut him up.
I can't stand Spike Lee. He's on the lines of I'm not even going to go there.
I know. He just came up in our political show with Agree to Disagree last year with Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman when he is personally tweeting out what he thinks is the home address of George Zimmerman, basically saying, go
exactly.
get him.
Think before you do something, and, you don't do that. I don't care who it is. 2 wrongs don't make a right. It's like they say with the Asians, 2 wrongs don't make a white either. So... so it's something. When you go through it, it's you cannot.
Hey,
you cannot go around doing.
While we're at it, while we're talking about Asians and while we're talking about black-white relations, how about the Cleveland Indians, real quick, and then we'll get back to the 4-point shot. While we're offending everybody, is it in? Because I was listening to. Have you checked out the new Jay Moore radio show? It's been on it maybe a year now.
I haven't heard it yet. I have not listened to any radio other than in the past 10 days. Like I said, I've been on the road nonstop. I've been in the car going from San Francisco to San Jose, just in Indianapolis. It has been exhausting. In the last 3 days, I haven't been in a car at all until today.
Well, yeah, he's been on for a little while, and he was interviewing one of the prospects from Stanford, and their mascot is a Stanford Cardinal, which is a color, and their mascot is a tree. And it's a beat-up, janky-looking tree, for that matter. But anyway, he was talking about how goofy the tree is and the fact that their mascot's officially a color. He was saying that they used to be the Stanford Indians, and then it was decided a long time ago that was offensive.
Well, look at the Miami Redhawks. They used to be the Miami Redskins. Miami of Ohio. I mean, that's another team, for example. I think eventually, with everything evolving the way it has been, with just basically with gay marriage, with everybody being more sensitive nowadays, I do think eventually, I'm all against changing the name of the Cleveland Indians, 1,000,000%. I will never side with the people who want it changed, ever. Now, let's put it this way: Chief Wahoo's eventually going to go. Do I like Chief Wahoo? Yes. People are not going there trying to act race for game. It's a logo on a hat. That's all it is.
That's
it's
offensive.
been like that for years.
That is offensive. And the Keebler Elf needs to go because the little people are being offended.
Exactly.
And the Fighting Irish, are you kidding me? A whole group of people are just drunks. They need to go. Everything needs to go. Everything.
And well, that's what I don't like about it. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. People are not going after the players are not racist. The fans are not racist.
That Marcus Smart thing was pretty stupid, though. That
kind of fan was a moron. That fan was a moron.
But that was legitimate, right?
You do not do that. I mean, I'm sorry, but you do not do that to a 19-year-old kid. You're a 45-year-old adult. You're a bigger person.
What did he say exactly without saying it?
I don't know exactly what he said. I'm pretty sure I have an idea, but I don't want to be misquoted.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
fine.
But like I said, you do not say that to a 19-year-old kid. I've been a fan my whole life. I've told players they suck on the field before, but I would never say anything racist to a player in my life. It's wrong. you don't do it. You don't say anything racist to anyone, nothing anti-Semitic. You don't say any of that. It's just the wrong thing to do. You don't do it. You're not there to offend a player's feelings. You don't want to ever offend a player personally. Tell me sucks. It happens all the time.
Yeah, but Rich, you're telling me Richard Sherman and Ray Lewis aren't. I mean, they're banning. God, we're getting into so many awesome topics.
Yes, they're emotional. Yes, there are players that are very emotional. You want to get into the players, but you don't want to get them in there personally destroying them. They don't deserve that. You're not taking a personal attack. You're doing it as saying a team you don't like. Players get on to go, you suck. That's what happens. But you do not say something where you personally offend a player. To the that fan. I mean, I would have had no problem. What Marcus Smart did, should he have done it? No, he should have held back. We're talking about a 19-year-old kid. If he would have punched the guy in the face, I personally would have been happy. The guy deserved it. He deserved to be punched in the face.
You know what I would have been okay with? I would have been okay with him coming up there, getting into the stands and getting into his face and say something back to him and walk away and call attention to what the hell. But when he that's the thing though. You push somebody, all it takes is one slip, you crack a skull open, someone dies. That's why you don't raise hands on people unless it's in self-defense.
Someone said to me after, they said, would it prevent you from drafting Marcus Smart after what happened? I said, absolutely not. I said, now if this is a common occurrence with the kid and he's had numerous incidents, I said, yeah, it's a raising concern. I said, but from a 19-year-old kid.
So that wouldn't bother you as a scout. As a scout, you're just like, whatever, no biggie.
Personally, me, no. If it's happened multiple times, yeah, then we've got a problem. But if we're talking about one time for a young kid who's having an off night, they're losing, you don't. I mean, like I said, there's things you can say to a player, and there's things to avoid, and that's one of the things to avoid. You're an adult man. You're not a 19-year-old college student, 18-year-old college student saying that to your equal peer. There's a total difference on what happened.
So
when you're a 45, 50-year-old man, you're supposed to be mature. I can tell you right now, when I watch games, I don't care if it's football, baseball, or wrestling, I don't tell players they suck anymore. That was something I did when I was 14, 15. I started doing that at age 6.
And I'll tell you what, I will jump in there because I remember being at Jacobs Field, leaning over. I thought it was Mark McLemore. I think he was on the Orioles at the time, in the right field stands with my brother, my parents, and my buddy Mike across the street. McLemore, you suck, McLemore. It was just we just yelled at McLemore because he was closest to us. We just kept yelling at him. I mean, but we weren't going overboard.
I remember we used to do that in center field. Me and my buddy, when our parents got rid of our season tickets back in the early 2000s, we would go to games. We got our own season tickets in section 101 at Jacobs Field. You know, like literally 2 rows back in center field. We loved the seat. So that's why we got them. We got a 20-game package. That's what high school kids could afford. And we still, when we go to games, we still order that package now. Like, we always sit in center field. It just became our natural seats we always loved, catching home run balls. And I remember there used to be 5 or 6 of us. We'd go to a game against the Tigers a few years ago. We started taunting Nook Logan, to the extreme. It was nothing like personal. It was like Nook, 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 just chanting his name the whole time. And he'd drop the ball in center field. It was just stuff we got under a player's skin, but it was nothing terrible. It was stuff that you just deal with at a baseball game.
I was just going to go ahead, finish your thought. I'll get to mine.
I can tell you now, being a 26-year-old adult, having been in the business, it is not something I do not taunt players. I don't tell players they suck. It's fine to do when you're a child. And there's a reason why you can act sophomoric when you're young.
Better, swing better.
I'm saying though, for a 50 or 60-year-old man to personally attack a player is beyond immature. The guy should have been banned from the arena. You don't do that to kids. And when you're sitting there at the game, you need to be respectful. These guys are there to entertain. That's what they do. They're entertainers.
Yeah, but when gambling and alcohol is involved, it changes it with gambling and alcohol because it's more than just entertainment. If something happens in a storyline of the Wolf of Wall Street or American Hustle, if the American Hustle has a plot turn at the end, I'm not going to win $1,500 because of it. But if there's a 3-pointer hit at the last second, guess what? Daddy's buying some new shoes.
I just think it was wrong what happened. The guy, yeah, like I said, Marcus overreacted. He shouldn't have. But like I said, it was an emotional moment, and he's an emotional kid. There's no problem between, you've seen LeBron have reactions before. You've seen all players have bad reactions sometimes to fans. Some players go over, but you've never seen LeBron ever go overboard with a fan. Have you seen Ron Artest go overboard with a fan? Yes. There's a time and a place for everything. What Ron Artest did, he should have never jumped in the stands. I remember watching that game live. I was working as a busboy in high school. I remember watching that game live.
I was at a bar in Bowling Green just watching the highlights going, oh, dear God,
thinking
what
to myself,
is this?
Oh, my God, is all I could say. Saying, I mean, what the fan did to him, he should have never thrown a drink on him. But did Ron Artest overreact? Yeah, he overreacted. Did the other players overreact? Yes. It should have never happened, but it did. And it's something that you have to learn from. You cannot do it. As a fan, you're sitting there as a spectator watching. You're not there to touch the players. You're not there to mess with them. There are things you don't do. And like I said, I feel bad for Marcus Smart what happened. He got a bad rap for what he did. He's a good kid. And I honestly feel bad. Like I said, everybody overreacts at one point in their life. I mean, I can't even tell you, my college roommate, I used to flip on this kid all the time. I mean, even the small thing, if this kid got under my skin, I remember getting in a fight with him. And I'm not a person that I'm not a person that's provoked easily. But I'm provoked, I get pissed. And I remember I got in a fight with my college roommate a couple times. And it was something where people were like, whoa, calm down. But it's a similar situation under a lot more pressure. So it happens. So, I give a kid like Marcus Smart the pass. Now, what happened last night in the Hawaii game was unbelievable.
Gotta clue me in.
I'm sure you've heard about that.
Gotta clue me in.
Go on to YouTube right now and type in fan storming court Hawaii. I mean, or whatever you can get. Hawaii, you'll find it. UC against UC Santa Barbara last night against USCSB. I mean, I cannot believe this. Go and watch and tell me this isn't nuts. Fans stormed the court last night.
Three-pointer, basketball game. Oh, student storms. Okay, let's see what we got here. We're going to do this in real time. By the way, sorry, man, I've been covering a lot of Lois Lerner taking the Fifth Amendment again on the IRS harassment case. I've been trying to follow what's going on with the Crimea, with Vladimir Putin in Russia. So, yeah, a little bit of ESPN has not been on my... But that's why I bring you in. What are they doing here? Stupid intro. Show me what I'm looking for. Okay, something's about to happen here. Thanks for that stupid, loud intro.
You've got Hawaii at UCSB. Now, Brandon Spearman, shot blocked by Allen Williams. Spearman called for a technical foul. As you can see, arguing the play. Hawaii's coach doesn't like it, but then a fan comes from the stands, Bruce.
Well, and it's a fan from UCSB. That's Gib Arnold. He's a terrific player. Look at the fan come out of the stands. Where is security in this situation? This is a dangerous situation for the young man coming onto the court.
It's all the way into the coach's face. He does go back to his team, but then they finally escort him out. From a coach's perspective, Coach, this can happen anywhere. I mean, it really can. We were showing Hawaii and UCSB right now, but is this ever in the back of your mind as a coach out there on the court, or do you never?
Oh, and they got like a 65-year-old gray hair trying to take him away.
Welcome to Forever Being Portugal.
Whoa, jeez.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
The student's facing expulsion now, so, I mean, well-deserved.
Wow.
You don't do that. You don't run on the court in the middle of a game. So, like I said, I know I'm being very defensive about this, and I'm defending the player, but I'm defending the player in every action here, but after being around these guys, you see what they go through emotionally. And, some of these kids are very fragile, where they grow up, how they deal with their parents. Some of these kids grow up in rough neighborhoods. Some of them grow up rich. It just all depends. But everybody comes from a different background, and some of these kids are more sensitive than others. And especially if you're going to go there and you're going to try to piss off a sensitive kid, expect to be punched. It's going to happen. You don't pick fights with someone who's going to get in a fight with.
Yeah, it's one thing to yell, "Macklemore, you suck." It's another thing for a player on the field to be talking trash to a player on the field.
Well, there's another. Yeah, it's different than calling Macklemore. It's different than calling Ben McLemore. I mean,
Mark McLemore.
Yeah, Mark McLemore is second baseman.
Hold on. The funny thing was, I was yelling at the rapper Macklemore like 15 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
And the thing is, if you're yelling at Mark McLemore, there's fine. Telling the player you suck is different than calling him, the N-word while he's on the field. That's offensive. Yeah. It's offensive, and nobody wants to be called that. I don't care who it is, but you do not say that to anyone. There's stuff you stay away from. There's stuff that's appropriate, and there's stuff that's inappropriate.
Well,
and I know we're
You know, and I was at a Browns game, Browns versus the Cowboys. I don't think it was not the LeBron game where he went on the sidelines and wore the stupid hat of the other team in your own home city. Oh, what a dumb. Anyway, no, it was a different game. But you know that song. And now I gotta do it. It goes whoa, whoa.
Zombie Nation.
What's it called?
Zombie Nation.
Zombie Nation. Who performs that?
Some Euro band.
Oh, it's shocking. But, you know, whoa. So I was at a Browns game, and someone was singing, Romo's a homo, Romo's a homo, Romo, no. You know, and you know, and just kind of like doing their thing, laughing at it. And it reminded me of the movie Basketball, and I just wanted to go through these because while we were talking about the, things to say, things you don't say, how many more people can we possibly offend, talking Redskins, talking Indians, talking everything else with Marcus Smart, and now we're getting into all this. In Basketball, they had the team names. It was the Milwaukee, by the way, the movie was made by the same guys from South Park, for reference, if the listeners haven't seen it. But it has the Milwaukee Beers, in reference to the numerous local beer breweries. The Dallas Felons, made up of a team of huge muscle-type players, probably ex-convicts, in reference to the NFL's Dallas Cowboys, where numerous players had legal problems in the mid-'90s. The Miami Dealers. They appear to be Latino drug dealers. Note the chainsaw-wielding man on the back of their jersey, reminiscent of Scarface. They have the New Jersey Informants. Italian-American stereotypes. San Francisco Fairies. The players wear white and pastel pink, and they have the only all-male cheerleader squad, and it's meant to be a play on the word fairies that shuttle you around over there. The Roswell Aliens, the L.A. Riots, the San Antonio Defenders, and the Detroit Lemons, in reference to the American automakers. And I'm just wondering if we could keep the same name of the Indians and maybe make it a little bit more respectful, or even use the word tribe. We use the word tribe, and tribe just means a tight-knit community, and it could actually pay homage in a respectful way. I don't know. I mean, I get Chief Wahoo's goofy looking. It's a cartoon. Do you ban Mickey Mouse because he's insulting to mice? It's a cartoon. I don't know. I mean, they don't have pin the tail on the donkey day, or like making fun of Native Americans or anything with the Cleveland Indians. I don't know. And some lawmakers in Washington are trying to change the name of the Redskins. Really? Because the ownership group came out and said, yeah, that's fantastic. Ain't happening. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything is overblown PC, where, sometimes it takes a Trey Parker, Matt Stone in this movie Basketball to just point out, guys, relax. It's sports. It's humor. If you're not lynching somebody, if you're not kicking them out of college or firing them, or coercing them to do things at a job to keep their job or get their raise, there's no harm, no foul in so much of comedy and so much of life. And it took me moving away from politically correct university, Bowling Green State University, to come to L.A. And I mean, I live in a very diverse neighborhood, and I have worked in a lot of interesting places with a lot of diverse people. And I'll tell you what, I've never heard more racist jokes than when I've been in Los Angeles, and it's across the board. It's just people are more open about it. And
that's just the thing is, it's like I have friends from all races back in L.A., whether they're Mexican, whether they're Asian, Egyptian, Jewish, black, you name it. I mean, I've got friends from every background. And, we all rip on each other. They make fun of themselves. It's funny. Everybody, that's the one thing I've noticed about L.A. than the Midwest. Right. Everybody's a lot more open.
And they're willing to rip on themselves and take a little bit of ribbing, but I remember the first year I was out here, I'd hear someone make a joke about themselves, or a black guy make a joke about a Latino guy, and there's a black and a Latino and a white sitting in the same room, and I'll be like, ooh, oh, and I kind of looked over my shoulder, did he just say that? Is that okay? Are you guys gonna be all right? And they're like, yeah, man, it's all good. Just kidding.
It's funny. My group in L.A., they ran the L.A. nightlife scene, and it's just. I'm sitting there as a 5'9" Jewish kid. There's a 6'5" black guy in the group, a 5'7" Asian kid, a Hispanic kid, who's probably 5'7", 5'8", and a few other white kids that were 6 feet tall. And it was just, it was a funny group because it was such a diverse group of people. And we're sitting there just all ripping on each other all the time. And it was funny. It went over well. But nobody takes anything to heart, I've noticed in L.A. When someone makes a joke, it's not racist. It doesn't matter because someone's just climbing back at the other person. It's nothing bad. If you're in Chicago or Cleveland or wherever, New York, I'm not going to sit there and make those jokes. But in LA, everything's appropriate. Everything goes because everybody just rips on each other. And that's the one thing I love about LA. One of the many things I love about LA.
Well, as long as everybody's having fun with it.
Let me understand this, cause maybe it's me. I'm a little screwed up, maybe. But how am I funny? I mean, funny like a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to freaking amuse you. What do you mean, funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Thank you, YouTube, for not the clip I was looking for, but somebody impersonating the clip I was looking for. I love the pre-production.
It was nice being in San Francisco this week, but it was funny. I mean, the city is very smug. So,
the smug.
I don't know if you've seen the South Park episode.
The smug alert. George Clooney's acceptance speech is wafting over the Midwest.
I took a picture and I sent it to my buddy down in Miami. He goes, "Oh, it looks like you guys are having a smug storm." And I was like, "Yeah."
It was George Clooney. It was George Clooney. I think he even accepted credit for the civil rights movement. I don't even know what that was about. No.
Oh yeah, it was another smuggy day in San Francisco.
And I gotta say, for people that have never been to San Francisco, I can speak for myself. I listen. I'm gonna say it for all my Ohio peeps. I spent a quarter of a century out there. Look, my impression of San Francisco and what San Francisco really is, I love the city of San Francisco. I've been there maybe 4 or 5 times
it's great.
now.
It gets this reputation for being, it's funny because people are like, you're like, "Oh, dude," like, you get homophobic people all the time. They're like, "Oh, dude, I would never step foot in there. It's so gay." I go, I think I saw a total of 3 gay couples the entire 7 days I was there.
Yeah, it's like you're in Cleveland, right? Yeah. How far from Lakewood are you, pal? I'm hearing, Los Angeles. I'm like, dude, you've been to West LA. To each their own. I'm libertarian. I don't give a damn either way.
Like I said, I don't care either way. But it's just funny how people think they're like, dude, it's so gay. And I was like, it's not like I'm hanging out in the Castro district.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I couldn't care less. I don't care I don't care if you're gay or straight. It really doesn't affect me either way. All I care about is myself in that situation. And, but I had people saying, and I said, you know what? I said, because I was with my buddy this weekend when I was there, and he goes, dude, I haven't seen any gay people all weekend. I said, they don't just, I said, listen, they're just normal people. I said, we saw 3 couples holding hands. I said, it doesn't mean this woman in the marketplace was, she's a total lesbian. She's buying fruit. Like, you don't know. People don't have their sexual orientation displayed on their shirt most of the time, unless you're wearing American Apparel, and it says like legalize gay or something, or it's whatever. But I mean, it's not like people are wearing it on their shirts what their sexual orientation is. And like I said, it's not a big deal. But getting back to the sports topic, and bringing this into sports now, especially with athletes like Michael Sam and stuff, I'm perfectly happy for them. If you want to be gay, be gay. But at the same time, don't let it be a distraction to your teammates. If you want to be gay and have a relationship, have a relationship. I don't think it's necessary to have to come out and make a whole speech and now be the most publicized player in the NFL draft because of it.
Right.
I'm not saying what Michael Sam did was wrong, but I don't think it's necessary to publicize it. If you're gay, you're gay. Who cares? Live your life. If you have a boyfriend, big deal. Everybody's going to figure it out anyways. And, and if it gets on the media, people go, well, how come you didn't come out and say, I didn't think it was a big deal? What does it matter?
And maybe, yeah, in LA, I've met quite a few interesting people and groups of people. I've met polyamorous couples that are married and they each have a boyfriend and a girlfriend on the side. I'm like, wow, I'm just fascinated by it. Like,
but if you're trying not to make this a big deal, and you're like, well, I don't want this to be a distraction, by coming out and having a speech saying, oh, I'm gay, that is a distraction, because then suddenly you're flaunting this to everybody in the locker room. Like you said, I have no problem with it. Come out, live your relationship, live your normal life as how it is. If you're gay, you're gay. Like I said, if you have your boyfriend at games, your husband at games, fine, bring him to games. But you don't need to be going on the podium and going, I'm gay. Well, that's just what I don't like about it.
Well, you know what, I get that. I do get that. But I think on the flip side, I think, especially in a sport like football where there hasn't been a well-publicized story like this, and he's clearly not going to be hiding from the matter, maybe to just get it out of the way. I
think it was good for Michael Sam. It has been, like Jason Collins brought it out in basketball. But I don't need it. I mean, we don't need every single player that every time someone's gay now to go, to have a press conference to go, I'm gay. I mean, to sit there and watch SportsCenter the night Jason Collins debuted as a Brooklyn Net was just the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. It was all Jason Collins highlights. The guy is an irrelevant player in the NBA. He really is. Like I said, I do not have a problem that he's gay. But the fact that, oh my God, suddenly this guy played basketball in the NBA for over 10 seasons, never got an ounce of attention, nobody ever cared about him. And now the fact that he's gay, the guy had 2 rebounds in a game in 11 minutes, and suddenly ESPN's publicizing it like it's Michael Jordan making his return to basketball.
Yeah, because Collins wasn't even in the league after last year. His career was basically over. He had no interest.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't need to be overblown. Now, every night the Brooklyn Nets play, it's on SportsCenter what Jason Collins does.
Well, but you know what they're doing. It's a lot like when the Indians. What is that story? Not Napla Joey. I'm trying to think way back.
Napla Joy?
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember.
Or
like
it's Lajoie. It's Lajoie.
Lajoie. Well, but there would be like minor league teams or teams like the Indians. Maybe they weren't drawing very well. They would bring in a short-statured person, a midget or something, and like, good luck throwing a strike to this guy. You know, and minor league teams will always do little stunts like this. Maybe they'll get a sumo wrestler to step in and take a few swings or something, you know, to kind of pump it up. And, you know, you look what the Nets did.
Fans, but I'm saying, though, in professional sports, what ESPN is doing, ESPN is just all out for ratings. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're a TV market, trying to make as much money as possible. But sitting there, I don't need to see it. When I want to watch SportsCenter in the morning, I'm not there to watch Jason Collins, an irrelevant player in the NBA who I don't care about. You know, if he's a good player, fine, show highlights of him. But, you know, I understand the first night, but is it necessary to show a 9 to 10 minute highlight of a guy who only played 11 minutes and had 2 rebounds? You know, he boxed out. They're like, oh, that was a great box out by Jason Collins. Who gives a crap?
Yeah, there's thousands of those every night.
I'm sitting there watching this. I go, he made absolutely no impact in this game where they blew out the Lakers. Absolutely no impact whatsoever. Yet it's being flaunted as if he's the next Michael Jordan. I would much rather watch Michael Jordan make his comeback at age 50 than watch Jason Collins in a basketball uniform.
Well, the reason I brought because Jason Collins is the next thing I jotted down as a note here before you even brought it up. I think we're on the same wavelength there today. Jason Collins, they're signing him to a 10-day contract, and they're cranking out the jerseys. You know, and I'm seeing this as a total publicity stunt just to make some jersey sales.
No, the Nets needed a big body in there. They needed a guy who was, you know, who could play some, you know, was a good interior defender, who could get some boards. That's why they signed him. They didn't sign him because the dude was gay. I'll tell you that right now. They needed help. He was the player available on the market who could help them, and that's why they signed him. I don't think it had anything to do with him being gay. I really don't. I truly don't.
Well, okay. But well, then how about that? Hold on. How about this? How about maybe it's not the main reason, but maybe it's a 60-40 reason that they can crank out these jerseys and ride the wave.
It's going to be a small reason, but the guys actually, you know, if the Nets were just signing him for purposes of not winning basketball games, they would have thrown him for a minute. That's it. And they wouldn't have signed him to a next 10-day contract. The Nets have no problem selling out their games at home. None at all. Like I said, people are still going to watch the Nets every night. Yeah, does it get a bigger gay following? Yes, it does. But, you know, that only lasts so long. Just if you're gay and you're not a basketball fan, you're not going to sit there and watch every Jason Collins game every night. You're not going to. Because there's nights he's not going to play. If you're a true basketball fan and you like the Nets, you're going to watch the Nets. It's not going to make me tune in to watch the Nets. I mean, maybe that first game, yeah, for a minute, okay, he got in. Cool, he broke the barrier. It's really cool. It's something historic. Is it as historic as breaking the color barrier in baseball, what Jackie Robinson did and what Larry Doby did in the American League? I don't think so. But that's just me. I mean, Jason Collins is a pioneer. What Michael Sam did, great for them. It really is. You know, but I don't need to sit there on NFL Sunday, you know, during the season when I'm trying to watch my Browns highlights, and I'm trying to watch highlights to catch up around the league because I've been watching the Browns game all morning. You know, I'm watching them lose in the morning and then, you know, and then waiting for the highlights of all the other games. I don't need to sit there and watch 25 minutes of Michael Sam highlights when he plays 9 snaps a game. That's all I'm saying. Football's a team sport. Publicize the team, not an individual player.
What was it? They brought Rush Limbaugh into ESPN for a couple of minutes, and he was talking about, what was that, Donovan McNabb, when he had those comments?
Yeah. I mean, McNabb...
He just said he's been getting a free pass. You know, there haven't been a lot of black quarterbacks in the league.
McNabb was a good quarterback. I mean, they went to multiple NFC championship games. They seem to be there every year. It was just he never got over the hump and was able to win a Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb was a very good quarterback. It's not his fault that he took blame because he was black. I don't think there was a problem with it. McNabb was a very good quarterback.
I'm trying to remember when
he finally got Terrell Owens. He was unreal.
I'm trying to remember when Rush said that. If McNabb was on that tail end, remember when he bounced to a couple different teams?
It was completely out of line, though. I mean, there were other good black quarterbacks. Steve McNair was good. Doug Williams won a Super Bowl. What Rush Limbaugh said was completely idiotic. It really was. Donovan McNabb was not overrated because he was black. He really wasn't. I don't think race had anything to do with it. I think Rush Limbaugh made a stupid comment that cost him his job and made him an idiot. Made him look like an idiot. He's a buffoon. I mean, Rush Limbaugh. Granted, Rush Limbaugh makes some good points, but he was dealt as a guy who was always popping pills, behind the set, had all these problems. And that's what happens when you do something stupid like that, and you say something so idiotic and just unfounded. It's just, it was a really dumb comment. And I don't understand it. There are sometimes players, you can say players are overrated because of their race, but look in basketball. You don't ever see a guy in the NBA going, "Oh, that LeBron James, he's overrated because he's black." I don't think I've ever heard that.
But you know what? People did say it about Jeremy Lin. He had a few good games, and they're like, well,
Lin was playing,
he's the Asian sensation.
He was the first Asian. Yeah. Like I said, that probably did get blown out of proportion. But it was the fact that he was playing with the Knicks. He was playing so well. He took them.
Oh, he was lights out.
I mean, he was lighting it up.
Oh, that was really fun to watch.
I think it was also the story was the fact that he came from Harvard. He didn't, no team NBA really wanted. He didn't even get a college scholarship.
Right.
That was the thing. I think that's what was so big about it, and the fact that he was Asian too, one of the first in the NBA.
Asian was a throw-in for me. Like, oh, he's also Asian. I don't care.
Cool.
He's a baller.
The guy's coming from Harvard.
Right.
Look what he's become. I think that's what was so cool about it.
Yeah,
I think because he just came from nowhere. I think, obviously a portion to do with he's Asian because of his huge, massive following by the Asian community in the United States. But at the same time, he was playing unbelievable basketball for a while. He was putting up triple doubles. Yeah. He took the Knicks. He's the one who put the Knicks back in the limelight. He did.
And then what did they do? They got rid of him.
Yeah, he was playing out of his mind, though, in New York. He was a perfect fit in D'Antoni's system.
How do you like him down in Houston? How's he doing this year? What are you seeing?
He's a decent fit, but, I mean, I tend to think that Houston's going to upgrade this offseason. I think they're wind up with Rajon Rondo or Carmelo. It's actually funny. Bill Simmons was talking today about it on Colin Cowherd on my drive back today, on my few-hour drive back from Indianapolis, and I was listening to it, and I was, he made the most perfect points. He said Boston is one of those teams this year. It's either they have no reason to be a seller. They have, they could be buyer. They could be a seller. Could they wind up with Kevin Love this offseason and keep Rondo? Yeah, that'll attract a third superstar if you can get that done. If not, you can explore trading Rondo. So I think Boston's one of those teams that has a lot of options. I think Rondo could very well wind up in Houston. I think it's a team he would sign an extension for. And I think there's a chance that, or Carmelo, not both of them are going to wind up there. One of them could wind up there. I think either way it puts Houston in the driver's seat.
All right, well, hold on a second. You're really going off on a tangent, very specifically focused on basketball here. I want to get back to like the circus sideshow aspect of it. I was talking about Jeremy Lin and race. I wanted to talk about I'm kidding. I want to talk about this thing here because this story. I want to get your thoughts on this. Transgender athlete has sued CrossFit for banning her from competing as a female.
She's a shit disturber. Whatever you want to call him. Carmen Carrera. She's also the one making the noise for the Victoria's Secret. I was reading an article about it on CNN a month ago.
I have the name Chloe Johnson, a personal trainer.
Yeah, and what I get is out of CrossFit. If you're born with testicles and you've got man muscles, you're a man. I'm sorry. It's like South Park put it perfectly. If I want to be a dolphin, I can be a dolphin. If I feel like I'm a dolphin, I'm a dolphin.
But it can't make you swim.
That's how South Park put it. I like I said, I have respect for transgender people. Chaz Bone is a very handsome man. But I'm just trying to catch my breath. But I was laughing too hard. But looking at it, we'll call her she. I mean, it's ridiculous. She's a guy. I mean, she still might even have she might have her thing. We don't know.
Well, here's the deal. Let me get the because this just came out.
Is she a pre-op or post-op? Because as of a month ago,
let me
reading the article on CNN about her Victoria's Secret thing, nobody knew whether she'd had a job yet.
Okay, let's buzz through it. Transgender athlete suing CrossFit for banning her from competing as a female. A transgender woman prohibited from competing in a strength competition as a female is suing the fitness company sponsoring the competition, seeking $2.5 million in damages. Chloe Johnson, a personal trainer, charges the CrossFit company with discrimination, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and unfair competition in a lawsuit filed Thursday in Santa Cruz, California. While her lawyer calls it a case of discrimination against transgender people, CrossFit's lawyer calls it protecting the competition. Last year, Johnson sought to compete in the CrossFit Games, which is a contest aimed at determining the fittest man and woman. And according to the lawsuit, Johnson has identified herself as a female since her teenage years and is legally recognized by California as a woman. She had sexual reassignment surgery in 2006 and has been on female hormone therapy, according to the lawsuit. The lawsuit alleges that a CrossFit teammate of Johnson's sent an anonymous email to the Games organizers asking about transgender athletes in the competition. CrossFit determined that competitors in the event had to compete in the gender of their birth. Johnson disagreed with its decision, and the dispute has escalated into a lawsuit where CrossFit is maintaining that Johnson was born as a male, so she could compete in the men's division. So she should compete in the men's division, according to the letter from the company's lawyer to Johnson's attorney. It also stated the company had an obligation to protect the rights of all competitors and of the competition itself. The fundamental, ineluctable, the fundamental fact is that a male competitor who has a sex reassignment procedure still has a genetic makeup that confers a physical and physiological advantage over women, according to the letter from CrossFit's lawyer sent in October. CNN reached out, didn't get a response. Johnson doesn't have an advantage over other women. She's been on estrogen for such a long time, he said about his client. Hormone replacement therapy for transgender women includes anti-androgen therapy, which nullifies the effect of testosterone to reduce the masculine features of the body. And therapies can also consist of the hormones estrogen and progesterone to feminize the body.
You want to know my opinion? Still a guy.
We got to have this. Yeah, we got to have this conversation now. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
The transgender community, like I said, I have no problem with it. It is definitely a different kind of community. But did you ever see Joanna Man?
No.
Imagine Shaquille O'Neal having a sex change and going and playing in the WNBA. Is that fair?
Oh, I'm not going to make a Brittany Griner. No.
I'm not saying Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner's a woman.
You're the one that brought her up. No, I'm just kidding.
I said Shaquille O'Neal.
I know. Other people have made jokes about Brittany Griner. Anyway.
And what I'm saying, is if should Shaq be able to compete in the WNBA? No.
But he's receiving estrogen.
No, I don't give a shit. I don't get it. I don't care if he's receiving estrogen. Look at Shaq. He's a physical specimen. If he turns into a woman tomorrow, he should not be allowed to compete in the WNBA. There's your perfect example of it. And you can say Carmen Carrera, whatever her name is, isn't Shaquille O'Neal, but she's still a dude.
Her name is Chloe Johnson. Let me just finish up. There's three more points there.
I just know from reading the article on CNN last month that she's the one who made the whole stink about becoming the first transgender Victoria's Secrets model.
I don't see that one in here. Let me say this because I want to make sure I have every angle because it's interesting.
I think it's the same person, unless.
I can look it up in a second here. I'll take a look. It says
it might be someone else, but when I was reading on TMZ today, I assumed it was the same person.
Well, McCoy said that CrossFit should change its rules to be more like the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC, which allows transgender athletes to compete in their identified gender after undergoing sexual reassignment surgery. Quote, she's female, McCoy said about Johnson. She's legally female. A corporation like CrossFit, they're doing business in California. The law precludes from discrimination on gender identity. He said Johnson seeks a reversal in the competition's policy.
It is a different woman. It is a different woman.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was thinking the Victoria's Secrets one last month that I was reading on CNN. This one I was just reading on TMZ real quick today as I was traveling. I thought it was the same person. It looked the same from the picture that TMZ had on there, so I assumed it was the same one. Stupid me for not reading, but still.
Well, it's not. Listen, for the listeners, it's not like we do show prep. We just hop on the phone and get to.
She's still a guy.
Let me wrap this up here. It says the lawsuit also alleges that CrossFit's policy of having to compete in a person's original birth gender would require that transgender athletes would have to reveal their personal histories. In essence, that they'd have to out themselves even if they sought privacy, the lawsuit alleges. Well, what? You want it both ways? You get. I don't understand.
What if Usain Bolt tomorrow decides he's having a sex change because he can't win the Olympics as a man anymore and decides he's going to go be a female?
Gold spends the same whether you're a man or a woman or a transgender. Anyway, final thoughts here. After her sexual reassignment surgery, Johnson changed all her records to reflect her sex change to female, including her birth certificate. According to the lawsuit, she kept her background a secret and did not identify herself as transgender, according to the complaint. In a press release statement, Johnson said, "If I'm going to be forced to out myself, I want it to be for the good of all transgendered people and athletes, not because of a company's discriminatory policies."
I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, like I said, I've given my 2 cents on this one. I think that
you have, and we can bail on it because really we've talked about the Redskins, the Indians, basketball.
A lot of stuff for this. I know I am, but like I said, I'm sticking with my guns. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the transgender community, but when it comes with changing sports, like I said, if Usain Bolt tomorrow decides he's a woman at heart and wants to start running in the Olympics as a woman, should he be allowed? Absolutely not.
I heard the suggestion made. Whatever you go through in your teenage years, wherever your hormones are raging as you're growing up, that's what.
So, like I said, I have to finish with that. I'm gonna get to eat dinner now. It's getting late and I haven't eaten all day. So
Final point though. Aren't there some really good female basketball players that could just be really effective jump shooters in the NBA?
No. None.
Because we have mentioned that in the past. This has just been a fascinating show. All of the weird angles. Okay, let me say this. Final thought. Richard Sherman. What do you think about the NFL trying to ban the use of the N-word? Richard Sherman called it an atrocious idea.
I don't know. Players get emotional. They say stuff on the field all the time.
I played on the field, and I know that to be true as well.
I think you should allow the players to do what they want to do. I mean, here's the thing. It's not affecting the fans one bit in that situation. Not at all. The fans are not hearing what the players are saying on the field. Let them say what they want to say.
I guess in the NBA you're so close you can hear it, but on a football field you can't hear that.
No, I used to work with the Arizona football team at school. I can tell you right now, unless the guy's getting tackled on the sidelines, you cannot hear a word they're saying other than hut hike.
Yeah.
I never once recalled anybody saying that, And I was sitting next on the sidelines when, I'll never forget my freshman year, when first-round pick Antoine Payson, the cornerback from Arizona, tackled Marshawn Lynch. It almost killed me on the sideline. Like, literally, I jumped out of the way. A girl I was standing next to was unfortunate, and she got smashed. But literally, there's a little banter after the play was over, but not once did I hear anything bad, and nor could anybody from the stands hear any of that. It's so loud in a football stadium.
Oh, yeah. Totally different. I mean, Richard Sherman on the Seahawks says, it's almost racist to me. It's weird they're targeting one specific word. Why wouldn't all curse words be banned then?
Yeah, cracker.
Interesting point.
Getting on everything, it's just. I think it's just ridiculous. So
I know it's the state of affairs, Zach. We're talking transgender. We're talking about offending people with sports nicknames and words you can say. And if you're born a dude and turn into a chick, can you compete as a girl? This has been one of the most interesting unhappy hour programs that I've ever done, Zach. Like, all these things just happen to be in the news right now, and it's all coming together.
Glad to be a part of it.
Yes, well, thank you much. I keep saying last question. Will Big Z have LeBron James next to him for the retirement ceremony?
Yes, he will.
And is LeBron coming back to the Cavs?
Doubtful, but you never know. I'm not going to say never.
And are the Cavs making the playoffs this year?
No.
Now you can go eat. Zak Baris, everybody, NBA scout, lifelong Cleveland sports fan. Always a pleasure having him join us. I joked last week, hey, I'll meet up with you in Houston since we've already done San Francisco and Vegas already. Maybe I'll meet you in Minneapolis or something. But everybody follow him on Twitter. He's at ZBaris. That's Z Baris. And Zach, one more friendly reminder, always tag us at American_media_ when you got something especially clever or interesting or insightful to say so we can share it with our listeners. So thank you again. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.
And until next time, buddy, you have a great weekend, all right?
You too. Thanks a lot, Brian.
There he goes, everybody. Zak Baris. I'm not kidding. This has been the most interesting. You know, and I'm curious if you're listening too. What are some of the most crude, out of line things you've heard at a sporting event? You know, talking about Marcus Smart in Oklahoma. Oklahoma State. Yeah, actually, you know, I kind of stopped following that story. I saw that Marcus Smart pushed that old dude, and I saw that guy apologize. He said I said some inappropriate thing. I never really followed exactly what he said. I think the insinuation is that it was the N-word. I think. I mean, this has been a very interesting. You know, because some people do take offense to Redskins. I mean, if there was a team called the Whiteskins, it was like this pale ghost-looking Casper the Friendly Ghost kind of thing. I don't know if I'd be offended. I would think it'd be really weird. You know, like a real pasty, nerdy-looking... The Whiteskins? I mean, Redskins are a potato. I don't know. This has just been such a... What is some of the weirdest stuff you've heard? Because, you know I've heard horrible things yelled from the stands. And I know there are places now. Where was I at? I want to say it was a basketball game. Maybe it was at Staples Center. Maybe it was at the Quicken Loans Arena. And by the way, I'm really glad that Cleveland changed the name of the arena from Gund Arena to Quicken Loans, the Q. You say Gund Arena fast, it's gonorrhea. I just don't like how that sounds. No, but I think they even have like word police out there. Like if you're really out there running your mouth, like people come over real quick and like, buddy, you gotta calm that down. There are kids out here. You know, we're gonna have to ask you to leave if you don't chill out on that. I've seen that. I'm just trying to remember. Was it a Dodger game? Was it an Ohio State game? A Buckeye game? I don't remember, but you know, hearing somebody singing a song about Tony Romo or Lord Almighty, the things that we were yelling to the Baltimore Ravens when I went to that Browns game. I think it was a Sunday night game. I don't know. I mean, are we going to have 4-point shots in the NBA? Are we going to have 42-yard field goals? Is Richard Sherman right? If you ban one word, should you ban all words? How about no talking at all? While we're at it. Or if we're going to be absurd, let's be as absurd as Trey Parker and Matt Stone from basketball. And let's just offend everybody across the board. Is Jeremy Lin overrated? Is Donovan McNabb overrated? Is Jason Collins only signed to sell jerseys as a publicity stunt? Should Michael Sam address the issue or just go about his business? Marcus Smart laying hands on a fan? Good idea? Bad idea? If you're born a dude, can you compete as a chick in a sporting event? Post-operation with pills to reverse... Remember when sports used to be about sports? See, but I gotta tell you, I love this. I love this. It makes sports way more interesting. I'm a homer. I cheer for the Indians, the Cavs, the Browns, the Buckeyes. You know that. Y'all know that. But I gotta say, I'm kind of floored. I'm kind of flummoxed, flabbergasted. Floored. No, I'm just kind of taken aback by today and the directions of how this show went off the rails so quick. But I mean, really, this stuff is all converging at the same time. These stories are all currently relevant. Start of spring training, who wants to ban the Cleveland Indians? What about the Redskins in Washington? It just goes on and on and on. Whew. But that's transgender. What do you do with that? You know what? Here, I'm going to share this. I'm doing it. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. I'm going to put it out right now. Hashtag TNAM Sports. All right, so that's the New American Media. TNAM Sports, transgender athlete sues CrossFit. And you know what? For the heck of it, put it on our Facebook page. You guys linked up with us everywhere yet? Because, come on, man. Jay Moore, he has this little thing when people say that. I don't know, he has this little montage. Come on, man. Come on, man. I really don't listen enough to know what it's all about. But come on, man or woman or transgender, whoever you are, I want you to follow us. It's really, when it comes to this stuff, the only thing I care about in the transgender story is fair competition. Whatever people are doing, they're doing. I don't know. It's a world I'm not completely familiar with. I'll just say that. Maybe a little curious. No, just kidding. Not really that curious. But I'm more concerned about competition. Kind of like when I was talking about the 42-yard field goal kick. I think it'd be better competition if that wasn't a gimme. 42-yard field goal kick or a 2-point conversion. I kind of like that. It'd be very exciting. It wouldn't be an automatic 7 to 14 to 21 to 28. A 4-point shot? I don't know. Do I want a 4-point shot? I don't know. I'm open to the idea of it. I am. I'm the only thing that I'm interested here, like I said, I'm very libertarian politically, and that's I hope you guys are following us. TheNewAmericanMedia.com. Scroll around. We have tons of content, and it's growing by the day. It's more of an archive. A lot has gone on, and especially in the sports and politics areas of the website over the past 3 years. Check it out, thenewamericanmedia.com on Facebook. Search The New American Media with spaces in between and like our page. We're almost at 500 likes on Facebook. Not too shabby. Check us out, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. We have just, we're almost at 210,000 video views, which is pretty sweet. How many subscribers? How many we got? Oh yeah, I got that horrible funny like a clown clip. Oh jeez. Yeah, however many. It's like 210,000 views. Bunch of subscribers. But yeah, subscribe to us. Follow us on Twitter at American_media_. Join our 17,000 there. You know, jump into the conversation. Offer your opinions. I mean, our show's called Agree to Disagree. Where are we off base? I mean, it's just, I'm very libertarian. I don't care what people are doing. I don't care about, what do they call it? Mixed race couples? I don't care. Transgender? Whatever you gotta do. Race? I don't care about race. Jeremy Lin's or anybody else's, or I don't care. I'm very libertarian. I'm fiscally conservative, socially libertarian, and pro-capitalist. I think if the harder you work, the better you should do. But that's it. I mean, I don't really have a horse in this race. You know what? There was a weird story. Actually, let me pull this up real quick. See if I can find this. If this is, I will share this with you if it's been on TorontoSun.com. I'm trying to find you a very, Yeah, so I'm finding this story out here. It's on what is this, Toronto Sun? Yeah, this story seems to be a lot of places. I'm not really seeing it on like Fox or CNN or so National Review. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I mean, this really is a story that I wanted to cover. I mean, I really wanted to cover on Agree to Disagree. It doesn't belong here, right now, on the Unhappy Hour. So of course I'm going to talk about it. What do I care? The Toronto Sun. What is this place? So a lesbian walks into a Muslim barber shop and asks for a businessman's haircut. It sounds like the beginning of a joke, but it really happened, and now a government agency called the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario will hear her complaint. Faith McGregor is the lesbian who doesn't like the girly cuts that they do at the salon. She wants a boy's hairdo. Omar Marouk is the owner of the Terminal Barbershop in Toronto. He follows Sharia law, so he thinks women have cooties. As Marouk and the other barbers there say, they don't believe in touching women other than their own wives. But that's what multiculturalism and unlimited immigration from illiberal countries means. A central pillar of many immigrant cultures is a second-class citizenship of women and gays. So if we now believe in multiculturalism, and that our Canadian culture of tolerance isn't any better than the Sharia culture of sex crimes and gender apartheid, who are we to complain when Omar Marouk takes up on our promise that he can continue to practice his culture? Lesbian haircuts be damned. I know this doesn't belong here on the sports show, but, I mean, we've been talking about transgender and homosexuality and race and everything else, and damn it all, I've been really dying to find out who the bad guy is in this story. You know, I'm a white male, raised Christian from the Midwest, straight, a white straight male, raised Christian, born in, raised in the U.S. My whole life I've been told that I'm the bad guy. Hell, I mean, what was it? Zimmerman turned into a white. What do they call him? A white Latino, or something. MSNBC invented a term. NBC invented a term. A white. Anyway. No, so I mean, it's just growing up and going to college. It's like, oh, everything about the white man is bad, and the straight guys, and the Christians, and the white kids, and the men. Oh, jeez. So, like, whenever a story comes on the air, and when someone's going to claim a grievance status, it's always against that. It's always against the... So, but I'm trying to figure out who's the bad guy here. Who's good and who's bad in this story? The lesbian who wants a boy's haircut, demanding it from a Muslim barber who refuses to cut the lesbian woman's hair as a boy while practicing his Sharia religion. Because you know who the bad guy is in that cake story. There's a story about cake. What is it? I'm going to go up to the Supreme Court where a gay couple wanted a baker to make him a cake, and the baker said, no, that's against our religious beliefs, and so then they're getting sued. You have to make me that cake. You will not discriminate against me. Who's being discriminated against here? Are you forcing the Muslim to do something against his religion? Or are you discriminating against the gay woman? I mean, usually those trump everything else out there. And in fact, I'm going to skip to the bottom here because I did read this article. Lord almighty, I'm just going to give you the whole article. Like I said, I still got to do some more fact-checking, make sure this is legit, but I'm seeing it pop up verbatim on 10 different websites in front of me. Okay, so he's not the one who passed the Multiculturalism Act and invited in hundreds of thousands of immigrants with medieval attitudes toward women and gays and Jews, etc. We did, talking about Canada. Marook's view is illiberal, but in Canada we believe in property rights and freedom of association, and in this case, freedom of religion too. But McGregor ran to the Human Rights Tribunal and demanded that Marook give her a haircut. Okay. In the past, human rights commissions have been a great ally to gay activists because traditionally gay activists have complained against Christians. And white Christians are the one ethnic identity group that human rights commissions don't value, and that multiculturalism does not include. In recent years, Canadian human rights commissions have weighed a complaint about a women's-only health club that refused a pre-operative transsexual male who wanted to change in the locker rooms. There we go. That's the reason I'm talking about this story. It is relevant to sports, I tell ya. It's relevant to sports, I tell ya. Let me tell you something. Was that Jim Carrey? Next, we're talking about the transgender athlete suing the CrossFit for banning her from competing as a female. They've ordered bed and breakfasts owned by Christian families to take in gay couples. They've censored pastors and priests who have criticized gay marriage. Gays win because it's a test of who is most outraged and offended. But, in the case of the Muslim barbers, the gay activists have met their match. If the test is who can be the most offended or most politically correct, a lesbian's just not going to cut it. Oh, McGregor is politically correct, but just not politically correct enough. Remember in George Orwell, Animal Farm? All animals are equal, and then over time that changed. All animals are equal, some are just more equal than others. So anyway, McGregor is politically correct, just not politically correct enough. It's like poker. A white Christian male has the lowest hand. It's like he's just got one high card, maybe an ace, so almost everyone trumps him. A white woman is a bit higher, like a pair of twos, enough to beat a white man, but not much more. A gay man is like having two pairs in poker. Okay. A gay woman, a lesbian like McGregor, is like having three of a kind. A black lesbian is a full house. Pretty tough to beat. Unless she's also in a wheelchair, which means she's pretty much a straight flush. The only person who could trump that would be a royal flush. If the late Sammy Davis Jr., who was black, Jewish, and half-blind, were to convert to Islam and discover he was 1/64th Aboriginal. So, which is a better hand, a lesbian who wants a haircut or a Muslim who doesn't want to give it to her? I'm betting on Marook, and I predict that Muslim activists, not quiet barbers like Marook, but professional Muslim busybodies, will start using human rights commissions more and more to push their way into places where they have no legal right, but where the human rights commissions are more than happy to engineer things for them if they complain loud enough. If I were a gay activist, I'd probably want to declare victory and shut down these human rights commissions right now. In 5 years' time, it won't be gay activists forcing themselves into Christian bed and breakfasts. It will be Muslim activists vetoing the gay pride parade. Very interesting article. I'm not seeing the comments here. Excuse me. That is my favorite part of basically it's my favorite part of the new media, the new American media, as it were. Which coincidentally, we run our comments through a screener, so most of them don't pop up automatically, and we don't update the page as much. But with time, that'll be fine. But I love the comments, and I'm not seeing where the comments are underneath this story. But it's by Ezra Levant, QMI Agency, posted November 17. Oh yeah, this is old. 2012. Why did I just see this? Well, what's the update then? I want the update. From the TorontoSun.com. Yeah, on Liberty Alliance. What is this? Godfather Politics. The Black Sphere. He's usually okay. What's his name here? Kevin. What is that? Kevin Blackistone? No. Kevin. Kevin Jackson. The Black Sphere. Sorry, just trying to. Like I said, I when it comes to show prep, a lot of time we just kind of figure this out as we go. Because Arizona... Perfect. Remember that law that Arizona was trying to... Jan Brewer, governor, vetoed it. And it was something about businesses being allowed to not serve, take the cake example. It was essentially saying, you can't force me to make a wedding cake for a gay couple if it's against my religious beliefs. The NFL instantly weighed in with the whole Michael Sam thing and said, oh, well, we have the Super Bowl there next year. Why don't we start looking into plans to relocate that? If you guys enact that, we're going to leave. So, I mean, it is very, 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 very hard to separate sports from politics these days. And is this human rights? Is this politics? Is this over-obsessive, politically correct nonsense? Is it hypersensitivity? Are these legitimate beefs and we gotta sort it out in the public discourse? I mean, my show's called Agree to Disagree. The show where I normally cover stuff like this, but I mean, geez, with the NFL threatening to change the Super Bowl location over this law, and transgender athletes suing to compete in different places, and this really is an interesting world. And that's why we like having you. We like having you listening. We like having you commenting. We don't necessarily need you to agree with us on 100% of things by any stretch. I mean, you might have some really rockin' politics, but be a Steeler fan. Sorry. I mean that could be the case. You might be a Cleveland Browns fan, but you're a hardcore conservative or a hardcore progressive. I'm not a fan of either of those politics. So, we got to be able to agree to disagree. We have to be able to have conversations where we step into uncomfortable territory. We just have to. Because that's what people do. People don't get bent out of shape about every damn thing that happens. There's no sense in it. What I get bent out of shape on is learning that the NSA is spying on all of your text messages, all of your selfies, all the photos you've sent, all of your emails, all of the personal letters that you're sending, your GPS locations, that Facebook is building a dossier on you, Google, Yahoo, your cable companies that open up your laptop and they can remotely control your camera to see what's going on in your room. I mean, that stuff really bothers me. Those are issues worth getting very upset about. Drawing your line in the sand and say, how dare you? All this other stuff, I mean, it's just stuff. Figure it out, move on. I mean, I couldn't even imagine growing up in like the 30s, 40s, or 50s, or 60s or something prior to the Civil Rights Movement. Couldn't even imagine that. I mean, what a horrible, weird, backward world. And not everybody was like that, but enough. Enough people were like that. I mean, to have one lynching, you don't need to. One is way too many. That's horrible. But I think, in fighting so hard to break through that barrier, knock down those walls, it's like Zach was saying, do we really need a 10-minute highlight of Jason Collins getting 1 box out and 2 rebounds? Equal. Do your thing. I'm going to judge Hillary on her lousy job as Secretary of State. Not because she's a woman. Not because she's a Democrat. Kind of concerned about the dead bodies in Benghazi and the lies to cover them up. I don't care that Barack Obama is half white and half black. I don't care that he's a Democrat or a progressive. I care that he signed the National Defense Authorization Act, which says American citizens, the United States is now a battlefield, and you can just be disappeared. You can be stolen, kidnapped, detained, indefinitely forever, without charge, without facing your accusers, without a trial, without legal representation. Think Guantanamo Bay disappear because you don't agree with the politics of the current administration, whether that's a Bush or an Obama. And frankly, I don't see much of a difference between the two. Oh, that stuff would never happen. You're a crazy right-wing conservative. You're a conspiracy theorist. We know that the IRS was targeting its political enemies financially. I mean, they wouldn't do it with health care by providing substandard care or not allowing certain services to certain groups of people. It's exactly what the IRS was doing. Oh, if you're on their team, guess what? You get your 403C tax-exempt status, but not if you're in a Patriot group, not if you're in a Tea Party group, not if you're in a Liberty group, not if you're a Christian group. Okay. No, but I'm the crazy one for bringing it up. See, that's my point, though. These are the issues that I really care about, the life and death stuff. All this other stuff that I gotta get an update on this Muslim barber not cutting the lesbian hair. I gotta get an update on this. But transgender athletes suing CrossFit. Very interesting. I just want to roll on the side of freedom and liberty and equal competition. See, that's my point about capitalism. I love capitalism. Love it. What I don't like is crony capitalism or fascism. Crony capitalism is where you hook up all your buddies in big business, and they get all the contracts and they get all the tax breaks. Or fascism, it's when the government actually gets completely in bed with the corporations, and the corporations kind of write the policies that the politicians sign after they put them in office, and it's not a fair competition. The laws are crafted where they win and the regular people lose so that they can maintain their stranglehold over the economy. So I'm saying we haven't tried capitalism in a very long time. I'd like to try it, maybe for the first time in my life. You know, but capitalism, to me, it's not what we've had. It's the furthest thing from it. It's either fascist or it's crony capitalist. It's not the economic system you've grown up under. It's fair competition where we all have a shot. That's what this country's supposed to be. We all have a shot. We all have a chance. We all have an opportunity. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo. Said Mr. Marshall Mathers. That's the thing about this CrossFit. I'm trying to figure out where is the competitive advantage, if there is one, or disadvantage to the people she's competing against. Fascinated. And special thanks to Zak Baris for joining us on this program. God, we covered so much interesting stuff. But really, thenewamericanmedia.com. Search The New American Media on Facebook. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. YouTube.com/thenewamericanmedia. That's about all I got, yo. Thank you guys very much for listening. I appreciate you. We'll be talking again soon. Take care.
The Unhappy Hour on thenewamericanmedia.com. Your guide to the truth. thenewamericanmedia.com.